Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a commentary for you about Materialism. The gameplay that you're going to see in the background is Call of Duty Ghost, and it's relevant because I'm playing to get things. I'm not really playing, or at least I was not initially playing to win the game. I was playing to unlock the blue dot sight on the VMR reticle. I have to get 150 kills while zoomed in, and I'm using the Delta right now. But my goals change, and I decide I don't want the blue dot sight as much as I want to win the game because I want a higher KD, and then I decide I want to use the chainsaw, and then I want to use the MSBS, and then I want to go back and forth. My goals shift around a lot. My gameplay is good, if not a little bit selfish in the beginning, but I do play objectively later on and the team goes to a victory. The topic of materialism is not going to be a commentary about me railing against wealth or rich people or capitalism or saying that buying things is bad or that we should all be dirty little hippies that, don't buy anything and live and make all their own clothes. That's not where I'm going with this one. Rather, it's going to be about my personal philosophy of acquiring objects for happiness and how that ties into our modern culture. It is definitely some criticism of culture, but it's more on a personal level and not a sort of macro scale or a very angry railing against the machine sort of commentary. I run into this a lot during the holidays. Matter of fact, it's very difficult to miss it during the holidays. It just smacks you right in the face as hard as you can because if you live in the United States, we have Halloween, which is one of my favorite holidays because it doesn't really celebrate anything. Halloween doesn't have to be anything. It can be whatever you make it, which for kids is candy, for teenagers is usually pranks, and for adults it's usually drinks and parties and that sort of thing, which is kind of fun. Thanksgiving is us being thankful for the things we have. It's totally lost its original meaning. And Christmas was once celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, which, we all know was based out of the pagan Saturnalia, which was Roman times, which was a different holiday, but it was adapted. And instead of being a religious or family one, it's mostly about presents now. So I get it a lot, and I think about it a lot, and I think about why we are this way, especially about the presents and the buying things. And it occurred to me that for most of human history, we lived with extreme scarcity. We, of course, live with economic scarcity now, and pretty much having anything less than infinite resources is defined as scarcity of some sort, but our scarcity is much, much less. If you think about it, and especially if you think back to some really old pictures, really old books, cartoons, media, the oldest things you can think about, especially children's, because they're very telling, they're very simple about the times. Candy was supposed to be a rare treat. You didn't get a lot of candy, there weren't a lot of sweets, matter of fact, there wasn't a lot of meat on the table. We eat a lot of meat these days, and I walked right past that guy. For some reason I was looking down into the ground. We did not have these things. They were not available to us because of our methods of production and our overall economic standing with each other. Clothing was bought or made more irregularly. They had plenty of clothing shops. I'm not going back to where we had to hand spin, but it really wasn't that long ago that they were hand spinning clothing. So getting new clothes was a really nice thing. You get a shirt for Christmas. It's like, wow, this is my shirt for the next year. That's really great. I'm glad that I have this. And our decorations were much better than nothing. The giant decorative stores were not there. There definitely was a decorating business of sorts. I mean, there's been Persian rugs ever since there's been a Persia almost, but it wasn't as extravagant as it was now, or, for the common people. For wealthy and royals, of course, it's totally different. But to have some decorations was nice in your cabin if you lived in the city in your apartment. It was nice to spruce the place up a little bit. It wasn't as extreme or competitive as what we're dealing with now. And the way it is, I mean, those are good things, but in the modern world, we just have a lot more of it, an excess, if you will. I know this sounds like a dirty hippie kind of speaking, but our world has better technology. Not only are there more things that we need for the daily life, but it's incredibly complicated, and the technology allowed us to have better production efficiency. We can make more things with far less effort. Like, we can make more candy. Candy is cheap now. As a matter of fact, if you're poor, it's more likely that you will be fat than skinny because the cheap foods are the fattiest, they're the sweets, they're the candies, they're the bad things, and that's crazy. Like, only the wealthy people can afford the lean meats, which, previously was the other way around. And we have better transportation. We can get ingredients all over the world relatively quickly, so buying a Persian rug used to mean you had to know a guy who knows a guy that gets to export that, can do this, but now it just means you get on Amazon or you get on the internet and they'll just ship it to you. It's not a big problem. And that's all a good thing. It's awesome that we can do this. This is a miracle of technology in modern life, but our core psyche, our philosophy that we've either been created with or grew up with or evolved with or adapted to for the last, thousands and thousands of years was that of scarcity, where we didn't have anything, where we couldn't get these things, where you had to hoard, and just get more, and it was amazing if you get, that sort of fundamental personality aspect is still largely a part of us, and it's very difficult to get away from. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do the same kind of things. Everybody does. It's okay. okay. It's not a bad deal. Our modern capitalism only encourages this more. Most of the countries in the world, while maybe not having a capitalist government like you would think about like a libertarian ideal or something like that, they do basically run on capital principles of trade and increasing the ability for the common person to consume, because that generally means that everybody can consume more and that sort of thing. Consumerism is an entirely different thing, but as a society, because of these factors of us not knowing how to deal with, we'll say, unscarcity or lack of scarcity for very long, and because of the way our society currently functions, we have a tendency to overvalue the ownership of objects. Certain objects, mind you, are very valuable, and it's not a sin to value the objects that you have because you had to work for them, you had to earn them, but we have a tendency to overvalue them. We overvalue the collections, the possession, the owning, and it makes us happy just to buy things. Ever since we were little, if you grew up in a first world country, you've been pounded with advertisements, hundreds, thousands per day, telling you how great your life is going to be if only you'll own or buy this thing or get this product or sign up for this team. And we personally have kind of agreed that that's a good thing. I mean, it's psychologically proven that people are happy when they buy things. A lot of times, I feel happy when I buy things. I really do. I got the chainsaw there to shoot down the helicopter, but ended up deciding to play with it just for whatever. And most people make impulse purchases based on this. It's, pretty normal. And we also buy objects for others to see. We most often collect things because we're told to complete the collection, but if you think about it, this is something that I previously did and not so much anymore. I would buy DVDs and artwork and books and stuff because I enjoyed reading them, but I would also outwardly display them as a collection, kind of like peacocking in a way. Or perhaps I wanted to show people that I belong to this group, that I think like this, that I'm cool like that. We are showing people how we want to be perceived based on the objects we own, which is kind of crazy because you are who you are regardless of what you buy. But, that's not how it works. And we work really, really hard to buy securities for ourselves, food, utilities, roof over our head, that sort of thing. But we also spend a lot of our money on consumables, on buying the next big thing. Man, this next big thing is going to make you happy. The next car is the best one ever. This is the movie event of the season. This is the game that you cannot miss. And that if you only participate in this event, that is the key to happiness. That's probably the fundamental flaw, at least in American society, that participating in the next consumer event is like a guaranteed way to be happy. And obviously, it's not. We all know better than that. It's sort of the wool over our eyes, but we don't think that way. Even me, knowing better than that, I still get really excited about things. I'll use Halo as an example. The games are a little bit less frequent. I really like Halo games. I get all nerdy and geeky and excited when they come out, and it's another sort of event, like the next big thing, like, man, this is going to be so good. Those poor guys, they didn't even get their package. I stole it from them. And crazy as this is, because of the way we've been conditioned, getting a better deal actually makes you happier. So when you shop and you buy things, that makes you happy, but when people know that they're getting a better deal or a % off, or that so-and-so paid more than them, that makes them happier. That makes them think that they've done a better thing with their wealth, that their objects are therefore proportionally more valuable or more enjoyable. It's not true, but it's just a silly little thing of our psychology. And because of all these things, it dawned over me over the years that owning things isn't really that important. Yes, it's nice to own your house and own your car and have clothes and, good food, but the act of acquiring it just because to complete the collection, to be a part of the thing, because you must have this and this is fashionable, that's not really it for me anymore. I kind of lost that drive, and now I'm more into experiential things. I find it more valuable. My personal philosophy, you can disagree with me if you want to, is that there are better ways to spend your time and money, and I usually gravitate toward experiences for this. One of the better ways to spend your time and money is, or your time for that, is just doing things with other people. Going out somewhere, even if it's a movie, that's another experiential thing, but it's considered social, so, I'll go with that. Going somewhere, doing something with your family. That, for many of you, that would be your parents or your significant other. For me, spending time with my wife. We don't always agree on how we should spend it, but it's much better than just staying at home or doing nothing, or going on a big shopping trip or something. That buying securities is great. Buying an investment, buying a retirement plan, paying off your house, getting a car, buying something that's a major upgrade for your life that just makes everything you do easier or better, that's totally okay. There's no sin in doing that, but buying it just because you can or because you want to show it off, that's not so great. Traveling is a great way. If you have extra income, I highly encourage you to travel. Traveling is fun. It's so great to go to a new city and experience new things, meet new people. It's funny to me because I watch, TV and movies, and sometimes you go somewhere and it's totally different than what you've seen. and sometimes you go there and it's exactly the same, and that's like comically hilarious, and it's very interesting. And of course, helping other people. A lot of times I get more enjoyment out of my money giving it to other people or buying other people things than I ever would spending it myself, so I would highly encourage you to help others because it's much more rewarding than you think. That's all for the commentary. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful, and if you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.